tuned in to Inside Lowell. Inside Lowell podcast brought to you in part by Washington Savings Bank, serving the greater Lowell community for over 130 years. Make the switch now to Washington Savings Bank. Unicare, offering a variety of plans for people insured under the GIC. At Unicare, your health is their top priority. Reverie 73, Lowell's #1 cannabis shop. Elevate your cannabis experience at Reverie 73. Hafner's, heating and cooling homes and businesses for nearly a century. Become a part of the Hafner's family. It kicks. Boston North Company, offering a wide variety of business solutions to help restaurant and retail clients save money. Boston North. And by Mahoney Oil Company, providing warmth and protection to families in Greater Lowell and Southern New Hampshire since 1925. That's Mahoney Oil. And now, time for another Inside Lowell podcast. Inside Lowell. If Lowell is your home, this is your place.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another Inside Lowell podcast. I am your host, Teddy Panos, coming to you from the Inside Lowell studios here in beautiful, historic downtown Lowell. Got a great guest to talk about today. It's our Inside Real Estate segment where we talk about what's hot, what's not in the real estate market, and who better to do that with than our good friend, Real Estate Ray Boutin, the region's top realtor. So you keep bringing home all these awards and stuff, buddy. You gotta. So you haven't slowed down yet.
So the harder I work, the luckier I get, which I've been using that slogan for a long time now, and it pays off. So I'm blessed. I have a lot of family, friends, past clients that keep referring me, even in this down market, and very, very happy for that. So,
oh, interesting. You actually said the word down market, because you're usually
I'm
hesitant to say that.
I'll clarify what I mean by down market too.
Yeah, well, let's get into all that. You said the harder you work, the luckier you get. Are you finding yourself having to work harder to get houses to sell, or to sell them once you get them? What's going on out there?
Oh, yes, I am. It is more difficult to get listings. So when I say it's a down market, there are less sales happening right now than there did a year ago, than there did 2 years ago. It keeps going down, the amount of sales. So to get those sales, it is more difficult for me. I've got to work that much harder. I'm constantly out now, back to the political fundraisers that we've seen, nonprofit events, things like that, to talk to people, to do face-to-face pop-bys, bring somebody a coffee, stop in and maybe have an egg lemon soup at a local Greek restaurant. And, it's important to have your face out there. And so I am doing even more of that than I did before. I've always been a social person, but now it's even more. So we're down anywhere from 25 to 30% year over year, the number of sales. The prices keep creeping up, not double digits, single digit increases for most of the markets.
Okay, so there's some interesting stuff there. Less sales can either be, well, you don't have as many houses to sell, less inventory, or there's just fewer buyers out there, and the inventory is staying out there on the market longer. Which dynamic are we seeing right now? What phase of the slowing down market are we in?
So you're seeing both. So you've got interest rates are up in the last 2 weeks ago. I think they were up in the 8s. Last week I saw something 6.99%. You probably have to pay a point to get that, or have a very high mortgage rate. But they've come down a little bit in the last 2 weeks. So if you have somebody that lives in Dracut or Lowell or Chelmsford, and they have a small house and they want to get a bigger house and they want to move up to New Hampshire, let's say Hudson, Hollis, Wyndham, Londonderry, Derry. 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, people would sell that house for, let's say, $500,000, have a $300,000 mortgage on it, and then go buy a $500,000 house up in those towns, up in New Hampshire. You're a little bit further away from work, typically. You'd have a bigger house, a little more land, but that $300,000 mortgage just doubled to maybe more than doubled, because you're going from a 2.5% to 3% interest rate you're paying to a 7% interest rate, or 7.5%. So that is stopping those buyers in Greater Lowell, any of the contiguous towns from selling. When those houses in Billerica, Tewksbury, Wilmington, Lowell, Chelmsford, Drake, don't sell, people that are out in Bedford, Lexington, Watertown, that want to come a little further out into the suburbs, they don't have a house to go to. So it's become this snowball going down a hill, getting bigger and bigger, giving less inventory. On the other hand, the second part of your question was, is it one or the other? It's actually both. When I sell a house, typically under $500,000 in almost any community, I would have multiple offers. I would have 20 to 40, 50 people seeing the property. Those numbers are down at least 25%, down to 25%, so 75% less showings. And I'm getting less offers on those houses. So instead of having 11, 15, 18, 22 offers on a property that's a first-time homebuyer property, I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the interest rates themselves that are prohibiting buyers from reaching a $450,000 mortgage.
So who is it hitting harder? Because you just talked about the 500,000 or under home, which to me in Massachusetts pretty much signals that's the starter home, the first-time home buyer. Because usually, you got to go above 500,000 for your second house, your bigger house, right?
Sure.
So who's getting affected more here? Those first-time buyers, the first-time homeowners, or those in the upper reaches who are I guess if you have the money, you can go bid whatever you want, go get whatever house you want. But if you're trying to sell it, what are they faced with now?
So you've got somebody that's got an $800,000 house, and maybe they have a $500,000 mortgage. They can afford that, and it's at 2.5%. They're not apt to leave that house. But I find when there's a slowdown in the market, you always have your higher end properties. I use the example over $700,000 or $800,000 in Drake. That would be a second or third time home buyer. In Lowell, it could be up above $650. Westford, anything over $900 is going to sit for a little while longer for somebody to have that much. Yes, they can pay cash, but you're getting money market and CDs right now at 5%. So people are being more protective of their money. So the upper end properties are suffering. On the lower end scale, you're starting to compete with rents because mortgage rates are so high. If I go in and I buy a house, it's $450,000, principal, interest, taxes, PMI, private mortgage insurance, I'm up to $3,500. If I can rent something for $2,800 or $2,900, I can save that $600. Granted, when you spend $3,500 a month, some of that's going to your principal, but they just can't reach that $3,500. So to answer your question, it's all levels are seeing the slowdown, but the higher end has already seen a bigger slowdown. That's
a great point. And I remember we've had many of these discussions back when the interest rates were less than 3%. Man, did I get lucky. Yeah. Thank you, Ray, and thank you, Tom Rankin. But I got in at 275. Yep. But you would always say, listen, the same you will pay to rent a 2-bedroom, or even in my case, a 1-bedroom at the time apartment, you can get a mortgage, you can get a house. Yeah. That's now changed. The mortgage is now, as much as people are complaining about the rents are too damn high, you try the mortgages, right? Sure. So it might be smarter for the first-time home buyer to sit it out a little, see where the market starts to go, right?
So
I don't want to cost your business or anything. But.
No, look, I've been blessed. I've told multiple people, do not sell your house. It doesn't make sense for you to sell your house and go buy a condo or something else. If that's the right thing to do. I had a woman who was getting divorced. She wanted to go out, sell her house, give her ex half the profit. I said, you'd be better off at the interest rates it was, under 3%. She could mortgage, have a mortgage of $1,800 all inclusive, because she had 20% equity, $1,800 principal, interest, and taxes. For her to go rent a 3-bedroom house, because she had a teenage son, teenage daughter, it was going to be $2,300 to $2,500. She couldn't thank me enough. Her son's best friend's father is a real estate agent, local agent, and she could have used him. I was the mediated real estate agent. I said, don't, go get this. She actually came back to me. She didn't have to use me at that point, but she did because I gave her the right information. So sometimes it is best to do that. But take somebody that buys a $500,000 house. Values go up $5,000 or 5% in a year. Well, you just made $25,000, which is roughly $2,000 a month. So if I'm paying $2,700 a month, but I can buy it $3,500 a month, there's a difference of $700 in there. Over the course of the year, that's $7,000 or $8,000, but your house has now gone up, your value has gone up, your equity $25,000. I'm working with family members right now who are actively looking for houses to buy, because what my suggestion to them is marry the house, date the rate. So let's buy the house, let's tighten our belt for a year or two. More than likely, interest rates will come down. They're already predicting that in the spring, interest rates will come down. And I will tell you, without getting too political, whether it's a Democrat or Republican in office, they do everything they can to lower gas prices and lower interest rates to make everybody feel good. So I kind of predict, and not just me, people above me at higher levels are predicting lower interest rates.
Right, so our house is appreciating in value 5%. Is that the rate around here?
Yeah.
Is this just, we're talking about Massachusetts, Greater Lowell, because Massachusetts is a different dynamic, or are you seeing this regionally, New Hampshire, Maine, whatever? And what else are we seeing across the country? Is it any different there?
Not to generalize, overall, I'd say the East Coast is still seeing increases coming up. The West Coast, for some reason, has seen a drop. So that's a little bit unusual. Texas, most of the communities are still growing. It's where people are going to. People are, leaving California to go to Florida, Texas, other places. The reason why, some's political, some's jobs, but you're seeing still New England still very solid. The other thing in New England we have is, the infrastructure. We don't have a lot of water and sewer in our suburbs. So that prevents people from taking a lot of land, building on it. The septic systems and wells are very expensive.
Okay. So is it a good or a bad time to sell? I'm confused. There's a lot of conflicting information there. If I've got a house and I'm close to that point where I'm thinking of selling it, is it a good time or a bad time? Should I hold off or should I hurry up and take advantage of the prices still going
My
up?
advice has always been to you, if you think there's going to be a 10% or a 20% decrease in values and you own a $750,000 house and you want to buy something else, in a year, 2 years, if the prices drop 20%, you've lost $150,000. But the next house you go buy is going to be dropping 20% too. It's not just going to be your home typically that drops that percentage. It's somebody else. So I've got to look at the factors when I meet with them. What is your current interest rate? Where are you at? What is your total nut, I'll call it? Principal, interest, taxes, if you even have a mortgage, whether you stay or not. Is it easier for you to stay and go? I mean, if you're going to sell it and then go rent, that's a different situation. I had about 4 or 5 months ago, somebody that was starting to debate that. They wanted to sell their townhouse, get something in one level living. They couldn't find something that was similar to their condo that was a $400,000 condo, but it had 3 levels. You come into the garage, first floor, kitchen, living room, dining room, and then all the way up 2 flights of stairs to get to the bedrooms. They ended up selling the property and renting because at their stage in life, into their mid-70s, they'd have enough money to survive until they're probably 110 years old by renting. And it was the best for that person. Everybody is unique, and you got to get information. So one size really doesn't fit all.
Is it still advantageous if you're able to, and you're looking for a change, your career allows it, your stage of life, elderly maybe, to unload at a high value here and go somewhere where you can still get a same quality, same size house, but where their property is cheaper? A lot of folks will always say, go to the Carolinas, South Carolina, North Carolina. Florida used to be that way. I'm starting to hear that Florida's starting to really, with all the millionaires, not leaving the state like Massachusetts, New York, and Connecticut. Florida suddenly got really expensive from what I'm learning.
They are. And a lot of these people had second homes and they still own their house in Massachusetts. They've now said that Florida, Lake Winnipesaukee, that's their primary residence. So that's definitely happened. You don't want to leave your family typically. And that's probably, so you have to work to provide for your family. Your family in 90, 95% of cases is your priority. you have to have a job for that. But if you're retired, you really think you're going to leave your grandkids? I mean, that's a true anchor baby. That's keeping you set for most people. So to move to South Carolina and have to go make new friends when you're in your 70s, it's not going to happen. So there's a certain cost of life. We can't always look to say, oh, I could make an extra $10,000 if I sell my house this year. But then I'm going to move into something that I'm not happy with. And maybe you don't want to be in a big apartment building. There's a certain cost of life. You worked all your life. If you have to, you can always take an equity line or borrow against the house to keep your level of living up.
You know what I've kind of heard in this, we've been blabbing for 15 minutes now. I've heard a lot of, it depends. Tell me what you want, right? Is now the time to buy? Well, where are you in your life? What's your particular situation? Like, people really need to think this up. There's no hard and fast rule. There used to be, right? In the real estate market, there kind of used to be some hard and fast rules. Sure. You buy in the down times and sell in the up times. But now, there's so many other complex factors. We've gotten to a price range on homes where you're talking $250,000 minimum, right? That's a condo now, right? You're talking $500,000,
250,000.
Yeah, exactly. So they've gotten so expensive that the decisions really are complex financial and personal decisions at this point, aren't they?
Are you moving anytime soon? Are you and your significant other, or are you by yourself buying this? And in a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, you're going to be transferring to a different area. It may not be worth it for you to buy the house, have to pay your commission later on. In 3 years, you might be better off renting. So there's so many factors. And I always like to give definitive advice. And after I meet you, I am pretty opinionated. I will give you my advice. You've known me, Teddy, since high school. I'll tell you, but to do generalizations, I'm giving you some examples of what people can do. A first-time home buyer, again, a $500,000 house goes up 5%, you're up $25,000. And if you paid an extra $700, that's $8,400 at the end of the year. Boy, you really made 17 grand, plus you paid down some equity, and it's your own. So each buyer and seller, I have to know the situation. So, if you're moving to Florida, great. I can definitely help you out and hook you up with somebody down in Florida too.
It really is like an investment strategy.
100%. And I'm not sure people have thought about that in the past. Maybe our parents don't consider it. My parents did. They knew when they sold their house in Drake, they could go to Florida and be very, very happy. With a little trailer up here in the summer, that worked for them. But everybody is different. So I've got to find out what motivates you, what makes you happy. And then I'm going to say to you, stay. Just stay where you're at. One of my almost clients really thought about selling their property. And I said, they were getting up in age. They were in their 50s like us. And I said, what would it cost? They were going to go get a condo, but they love their house. I said, what would it cost you to get a landscaper and someone to plow your driveway? $100, $200 a year? $2,400, $2,500 a year. Can you afford that? And I go, yeah. I said, then do it. If that's what's preventing you from keeping the house that you really love, and we're frugal, Teddy. I don't know who's more cheap, you or me, but
I'm a Greek, remember?
Yeah, I've got the case of water in my back seat because I won't go in and buy one for $229. But when you get to a certain age, you have to say, okay, I'm not going to go up on the roof and do my shingles or put gutters up. You hire somebody, and that allows you to stay in the house you love, where you continue to have your kids and your grandkids over because you have a pool and they love being there, and it's about family time. So if that's what's going to make you happy and you can afford it, hire someone. Our age and above, they're a little bit against that. My kids' ages, I'm not paying that. I don't think any of them have ever changed their own oil. So, why would I do that?
That's why they have vocational school.
Yeah.
The other thing that kind of strikes me is none of this that we've discussed, and even throughout our years of doing, a real estate segment, is really new to you. You've probably experienced every scenario. I'm sure something will pop up that you're like, here's a first, Teddy. But you've experienced the highs, you've experienced the lows, you've experienced people in great times celebrating a growing family. You've experienced a family falling apart, needing to sell because of divorce and whatever. How important is that experience right now, especially with the market so limited? You've got 30 years. I feel bad for anybody who just kind of got their license a year ago or 2 years ago and has only known the good times. I'm not sure they know what's going to happen if and when the market either crashes or at least picks up the pace that it's decelerating in, I should say.
It's like anything else, you know, being a parent. The longer you're a parent, the more things you learn and can do better. Same thing with being a husband, for example. You're going to learn throughout the years. In real estate, yes, things do come up. Last week, I did a walkthrough on a property, and there was about 30, 40 leaves in the garage, and the property was supposed to be broom clean condition. And the buyer said, you need to sweep that up. So Friday morning, I was up with my broom and vacuum and swept the garage to get. So yeah, you do come across different things. And I didn't fight with them. The contract said broom clean condition. Thought it was kind of
leaf blower.
But I did. I didn't have any brooms in my truck, and the seller had left, and everything was packed on a truck. So yeah, you get different quirky things. But I've either experienced it, you know, having owned a couple of homes myself, or the buyers that I've worked with, the friends to help them. So yes, I can not just say, well, theoretically, I could say in the past, this is what's happened and this is how we're going to resolve it. So I do have that experience that I can convey to people, be empathetic to them and help them through and understand this is personal to them. I'm not just selling their house, I'm selling their home, or I'm helping them buy a home. There's a difference between a house and a home. So my 30 years has helped me. You know, part of it's my personality. I've volunteered for so many years. You just, it's what I love to do. So yeah, it is helpful.
Okay. Lastly, any listings? We know that the supply is down, but do you have any new listings coming up on the market?
I do. Tomorrow I have a house over in South Lowell coming on the market. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. Just did a little bit of work painting on it, staircase, off-street parking. It's that's coming on the market tomorrow, mid to low 4s. And then next week I have another house that's off of Plain Street. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath ranch, but it's an expanded ranch. The master bedroom suite, finished basement with a couple of dens in the basement, half bath down there. That's coming on the mid to low 5s the following week. So
is that one South Lowell too, or is that the part they snuck into the lower Highland?
I have to call Jeff Thomas, but I believe it's South Lowell. So if Jeff sees this,
nobody knows where South Lowell is because there's so many different.
Well, you have to check with him and Kim Scott. So I will check with my friends.
That's what I want to know. Who's going to be your district rep? Is it going to be Kim Scott, or is it going to be Wayne Janessa's little sliver of South Lowell?
Yeah, right. I have to check that out. So I like to joke about that if from Lowell, but I have that. I just closed on a couple of properties. One was up in Nashua. One was up in Hudson last week. I had a double dip on Friday, which is really nice. That's always good to have. Did a little celebrating after.
Where you cruising to now? Whenever you do have a double dip, you end up on a cruise ship for weeks.
I'm pricing them out right now, so I'm looking. Yeah, I love cruising. But so yeah, I do have those properties. I have another one coming up probably in about 3 weeks. It's a Condex up in Salem, New Hampshire. Different properties. So yeah, I've got a bunch in the pipeline. Single family over in Pawtucketville, multifamily over in Centerville. We're working with these people, but there's no push. The time has to be right. And after next week's listing, there'll be a 2-week break.
I was just going to say, you're probably trying to space them. Whatever you can sell now, yes, but you're thinking anything that's not ready, just wait till January 1st.
You know, so the following week, the following week, if you put it on the market, you're not going to have people going out on Christmas Eve. And it just, when I list a house, my goal is to get as many buyers there as possible. And that's really what I want to do. So yeah, I'm going to ask the clients I'm working with, either we put it on next week, you know, the one I'm doing today, the one next week. If we can't, doesn't make sense to do the following weeks.
Right. So 2 new listings. Yep. We'll see them online.
You bet.
By the end of the week. Well, I need to know what that web address is.
Tune into Inside Lowell because Teddy will be forwarding those. But you can reach me 978-502-8352. Ray Boutin. I'm at 978-502-8352. Or visit my website, Real Estate Ray Boutin, and I thank Teddy for that, realestaterayBoutin.com.
All right. And by the way, we had to change the locks so that Danielle could not come in here today because when she hears that real estate voice, when you make the announcement of the phone number and the website, crazy things happen.
It was wonderful. I texted her about a month ago. She lost her phone, and I texted her. She goes, "Who is this?" And I just put the phone number back in. She goes, "Oh, hi, Ray." So look, can I shameless plug?
Where could I get one of those?
You can get one of these at Sykes the Florist on Lawrence Street, or the Athenian Corner, which opens today at 11 o'clock for lunch and dinner, or Lowell Lock and Key on Middlesex Street. Or you can email me, go through my website, realestaterayBoutin.com, name and address, we'll send one out to you.
I see the theme is once again scenes of New England.
Yeah.
Did you change any? Do we have any new ones or?
Well, this is pre-planned, and what I wanted to do, and I talked to my accountant, I said, look, I do calendars every year. Can I go away once a month, take a photo, make the calendar, and then deduct every trip? And he rolled his eyes. So I think that was a no. I can't deduct.
I don't know. You may need a better account.
You try it. If you don't go to jail for it, let me know.
Hey, all I know is that calendar is valuable to me. I use it down at the Athenian. That's my belly dance bookings. My sister uses hers for like people to write their days off that they want. And
I love it. Thank you.
So, all right, Real Estate Ray Boutin, realestaterayBoutin.com. Yep. Give me that phone number one more time.
978-502-8352. That's my cell phone. 978-502-8352.
All right, get in touch with him right away because he's got 2 new listings inside Lowell coming up.
There you go.
Thank you. We'll chat again next month. We'll got to do this on a monthly basis.
Monthly, okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
Yeah, come on, you get plenty of time. You can do it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, the check is already cleared, so you can. You're
fine with me. And if you want to advertise on Inside Lowell, it gets me business.
There we go. Thank you, Ray.
Thank you.
And thanks all of you for joining us as well on this Inside Real Estate segment. Always a blast to have Real Estate Ray Boutin here. Actually, it's always informative as well. I feel like I myself could be a realtor. I don't know if all interviewing Ray over the course of, 5, 6, 7 years now, however the hell long it's been, if that counts as a real estate class, but I bet you I could do somewhat decent job. Anyway, thank you for joining us here at Inside Lowell. As we like to say, Inside Lowell. If Lowell is your home, this is your place.